All right. I've got Jared Swan here with Manatee Pressure Washers,
Yes, sir.
correct? Can you tell me a little bit about that business? I think everybody knows what a pressure washer is, but please give us a little more detail.
Yeah, we're a national supplier for commercial pressure washing equipment. So nothing really that residential homeowners use. More of the guys who are washing every day or have a commercial business that are professionally cleaning houses or cleaning, restaurants, gas stations, any exterior cleaning. But we handle all of the equipment, and we also do a lot of manufacturing here. So we build our own machines, a gear-driven machine specifically, and then we just house a lot of parts and supplies for that industry, and we ship them all over the nation.
Let me ask you this, because the only time I see the commercial pressure washing, do you guys do a lot of business with municipalities or cities? Because like here locally, right, city of Phoenix, city of Scottsdale, every morning, if you're up at 4 a.m. or you had a late night, you'll see them out there hosing down the bus stops here and going bus stop to bus stop every mile, cleaning them all off.
Yeah, definitely. It's the same thing. The counties here in the area that we live in, there's a lot of multi-million-dollar homes in the area. And the counties actually have their own equipment too, and have their own fleet of equipment washers, and they service all their equipment here with us and buy all of their stuff too. So it's really cool to see and be a part of. But yeah, there's the commercial world is huge because there's so much foot traffic, and especially as the world's changed, everybody's more worried about being sanitary and making sure their environment's clean.
Yep.
And in that commercial world, it's an everyday business. Gas stations are the worst. Like they get the most turnaround all the time, and they have to be cleaned constantly.
Oh, I feel that. One of my favorite gas stations is the Quick Trip out here, and they pressure wash like 3 times a day, and I love it because it does keep it clean.
It's nice, yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, what role do you play over here for Manatee? Where do you fit into the whole piece?
So I handle everything from online marketing, sales, and basically anything for our future, business development. So when we work with new partnerships or new companies, or we decide to take the company a different direction, I work hand in hand with TJ, our head owner, and him and I make a ton of decisions together. Just to keep the business going forward. So a lot of guys ask me, they're like, what do you actually do here? I'm like, not much. There's not much that I actually am accountable for because they can't rely on me for much with that. But not in the day-to-day business. But yeah, for everything future or our online presence, I handle all of our videos, all of our video marketing and our advertising. I take care of personally. So it's great.
Awesome. Well, I know this from being on the sales side of the fence most of my life. You're kind of at the tip of the spear with the customer. So I would imagine when you flip over to like the supply chain execution, getting orders out the door, you might be a little more hypersensitive of the quality, how you do that business. Cause ultimately it affects your end consumer and how they receive this product.
100%.
So kind of tell me, I've just got one question. I imagine you kind of hinted on it when you're like, hey, people are kind of super aware of being more clean, especially in a post-COVID world. Did you guys see a boom in business after that because of that? People just being more aware of needing to clean and have that visual appeal?
Yeah, the cleaners, the commercial cleaners, especially in this area, have been nonstop since COVID started. Like guys haven't even taken breaks or vacations. They just continue to just work around the clock. And it seems like everybody now is more focused on keeping their space clean, in the environment that they're in clean. And there's other people coming in from up top, like whether it's a corporate headquarters, they may have let locations slide for a long time. Not anymore, not because of safety reasons. They're worried about, about how many people touch those door handles. You know what I mean? Stuff like that, where it's like outdoor space should be cleaned a little bit more than once a year.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. It helps me just using, public facilities. You could tell a big difference in cleanliness there.
Sure.
So tell me what role you play in maybe some of the supply chain piece, because it sounds like as you described it, you get to be a bit of a renaissance man at Manatee where, hey, I'm master of none, generalist of everything.
That is it. That's true. So yeah, I handle with a lot of our new distributors, like we'll bring on new stores or new suppliers who are, wanting to sell equipment. And in this world, it's really hard to start a pressure washing store because the large manufacturers that you need to partner with only want to partner with the guys, or they only want to partner with guys who can spend the money, number one. But two, it has to be continuous. They need to be able to have these orders continuously going. So a lot of the big manufacturers, a small store, that's a satellite store in Arkansas, for example, they may not have access to it or not be able to have the space to even buy the inventory needed to work with those guys. And so we partner up with a lot of companies because we work direct with the manufacturers and we buy a lot. And so we found that we can work with other stores to help them supply their needs. So when it comes to, like there's several other builders who they build machines, but we get guns cheaper than they do, for example, the pressure washing guns. And so they're like, well, we'll just buy our guns from you, okay, that's fine. And so we start to work together, and those partnerships have been beneficial because more people have access to the equipment. And especially since the times have changed in equipment and importing, a lot of the stuff that was available always on demand is now very rarely available, or like hose reels, for example, they're 12 to 24 months out on specialty hose reels, for these guys that they needed them yesterday, to run their business.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to wait 12 months. And for a guy running his business, that's unacceptable. So we work with a ton of other manufacturers and a lot of other companies. And that's really a lot of the things that I enjoy the most, is to be able to, talk to other stores, connect people to other stores who have products. And it's funny how some places get merchandise when other people don't, so we'll recommend people to our competition all the time because they have it, and the bottom line is I don't. So why would I talk you into something else that you don't need? If you're looking for something specific, go there, they've got it, and that's benefited us greatly because people oftentimes in business are like, well, they're my competition. I can't talk to them. I can't build a relationship with them because, we're all in the same thing. And in reality, there's more people than we could all service combined. And so now we're all sticking together going, well, can we just help everybody to the best of our ability? And what does that look like?
Yep.
And that looks like perfect. It looks perfect with partnerships is really what it is. So.
Yeah. Well, I love that, there's a whole, there's enough meat on the bone for everybody to survive here.
For sure.
Another thing I kind of picked out of that was you guys have kind of evolved with your relationships and partnerships into a little bit of a parts distributor for this industry, to get people what they need. So I love all of that. So with, kind of the business evolving post-COVID, the demand obviously rising, you guys figuring out how to kind of be multifaceted with not just distributing the commercial pressure washers to those folks, being a little bit of a parts distributor internally within your industry, helping your industry grow as a whole because a rising tide raises all ships. I think that's awesome. Let's dive into a little bit of the shipment execution piece. Now, obviously, you use the My Carrier platform to kind of manage, measure, get your stuff out the door. What were you doing before this? And then we'll kind of go into some of the benefits.
We were beating our head up against the wall before My Carrier came in, and that's not a paid statement at all. You know what I mean? Like literally. And I know several other companies that were stepping into that freight world where they're trying to send some freight items. And when I started, pushing in this side of our shipping nationwide for our company, it was a unique exchange because we went from sending out one pallet a month to now sending out 7 to 10 on some days, and every day there's typically multiple pallets going out. And that's been a growth that we had to learn and had to experience those growing pains from. And we literally beat our head with all of these carriers. There was only 2 that we worked with at the time, and their online presence was difficult. Tracking was difficult, and follow up. Making sure somebody was coming to pick up the packages. Will it be delivered on time? What's the actual cost? You know what I mean? I know a lot of people get that where it's like, oh, well, they quoted me at $300, and then it comes out they bill you for $700. Well, if you're 36 pallets deep in orders, it's hard to look back and go, I remember that pallet exactly weighing this, we have to take pictures of everything we send out, because of that. And so it was extremely difficult. And the communication was terrible. And once My Carrier stepped into the picture, we were like, this isn't real. This is not a real thing. This can't be a real thing. Yeah. And then as we started getting our carriers in and getting more carriers in, the concept just blew my mind because I'm like, oh, well, now we have someone working with us that makes these guys work for us, ultimately allowing us to service our customers better. And that's the most important thing for us. And it was honestly an amazing adventure once you guys came in, because it was a deal breaker for working with all the other stuff and all of our other orders that we had to do, and how we had to place all of those other fulfillments with the shipping companies. I didn't want anything to do with that once I found out how the My Carrier system worked, because it was so easy to put it all into one place. It's one sheet, it stays right there, and then we choose the quote. And to top it off, I could even give my customer options, because the customers used to always question us, and they would say, is it really that, does it really cost that much to ship it? You know, they're thinking we're trying to like put in some extra fees in there and make some extra money. And for us, we've always been transparent on that. We only charge shipping rates of what's given to us. You know, like what we see is essentially what goes back out
direct
to that customer.
Passover.
Yeah. And so we eat the packaging costs, the time to do that. That's what we do. That's part of our running business. You know, like we figure that's part of that cost of doing business. The shipping is just the byproduct. We got to get it to you, you know? And so we're fulfilling that, and working with you guys has been amazing, because that changed the speed. I guess it saved us a bunch of time, and it gave us a bunch of authority, because then the customer would call and question it, and I'd say, actually, we went with this rate, and there was 4 other rates within a certain parameter, you know, and they were either the cheapest or they were the one that could get it to you the fastest. And once you explain that to a customer, they sit back and go, oh, okay, so you're not just jerking my chain and just putting numbers in the system and just shipping it out. And we're like, no, it's legit. We're like, I'll send a screenshot to customers, like our regular customers that we do freight for and drop ship orders. I'll just send a screenshot of the My Carrier sheet, and I'll say, which one you want? Like, just pick one. Whichever shipment carrier you want to use, that's what we'll go with. And it's a nice ability for freedom to be able to put that back in the customer's plate and going, I have nothing to do with it. If you're mad about it, I'm sorry. I can't control the cost of what it, you know, of shipping. We're just in parts and manufacturing. We're not in shipping. That's not our business. You know, like we ship merchandise, but we don't move it, you know, by our hands.
But what you said, I think, is something that's super common in this space. Your passion is this business. It's the pressure washing, the customers that you get to interact with, right? And then all of a sudden, like you mentioned, I went from, you know, maybe 1 order a day to 7, 8, 10 on any one day. Well, now supply chain does become my problem. Freight does become my problem, but it's not my sweet spot. It's not my expertise, but I'm forced to deal with it. It is part of the business. It is a cost of doing business, as you said. And I don't think a lot of people realize, especially because like anybody who's in the owner or partnership problem, right? Like it is a passion. I don't know this, so I don't know what's good or what's bad or how this affects my end customer. And you said it beautifully. Like ultimately, we were able to improve our cost to service our customer, be more transparent, get them information faster. And I would imagine you're not the only user in the platform. We allow multiple users, so you probably have multiple stakeholders or departments in here that can access that information.
Yeah, definitely. We've got our guys. Before it was just me that took that on and had to do everything individually in the quotes, and now I have, you know, Cole, who runs our shipping department. He handles every bit of that. And so he deals with customers all the way through that process, from the website order, you know, to dealing with the My Carrier team and dealing with the freight companies when damage happens, because we all know that happens. But, you know, that's part of the process, and he takes care of it. But it's really convenient to be able to work with My Carrier over. Before, there was no in between. It was just me versus the carrier, you know, or versus the shipping company, I guess, if you will. And now it's nice because we've got a tool, you know, we've got you guys with us. You're part of the team, you know, like you're part of our team, and it allows us to help the customers better. It's huge.
Nope. Amen. So tell me, obviously the ability to serve your customer got a little better with just the speed, access to information, the transparency. How did this help you maybe reduce cost or optimize who you did business with and how you were able to bring on more carriers to diversify that selection, ultimately for your end customer to continue to service them better?
I'll tell you one thing that's kind of unique with you guys, based on the trends, because we did so many shipments over, you know, about, let's say, a year's worth of time. We were able to look back and get a lot of set pricing trends. You know, we know the price goes up and down on, you know, different days, and as is, you know, it's afternoons, we feel like our rates are worse than they are in the mornings. Like that, it changes, but you never know what it's going to be. But basically, you'll get a trend over time. You can kind of see how it goes. That allowed us to be able to make a huge move in the market that nobody even knows that we did. But we came out with a new line of equipment it's a specialty motor. It's a CRX machine. And we partnered with this new motor manufacturer. And with that, it was a test. And we were really worried about getting this machine out because most people want Hondas. Like Honda is the name in this industry, and it always will be. So a new name, a new contender had people worried and on edge. But we were able to sit back as a business strategy and be able to look at our costs over time and shipping and what on average it typically goes. And to launch that product for us, we put it out there with free shipping. And that's the only product that we actually ever offered for free shipping. So we put freight, and it's free freight. So we'll ship that machine to someone's house directly. But we wouldn't have done that had we have not had the tools and the year long of effort and data right there at our fingertips to be able to go, is there enough room in the margins? Because it's business, right? Like in the end, the shipping's not free. They are getting it free, but it's part of the cost. Either we're going to have to eat some in our profit margins for the manufacturing of the machine and the equipment, or we're just going to lose money. It's got to go one way or the other, kind of thing. And so that helped us. That was a tremendous move for us to be able to offer free shipping. And to this day, we still offer free shipping on that machine, and nobody can touch it because of that. Like our competitors can't touch it because it's $400.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, and ultimately you just hit the nail on the head, right? Freight, I don't care who you are, freight is an expense of your sales motor. I'm a sales guy. You're somewhat of a sales guy. Like freight is cutting into my sales margin or my profit margin. So I better darn sure understand it. And to your point, if I can get a higher level of understanding it, now I can weaponize that and play offense with it and fold it into my marketing and sales strategy and do what competitors can't. So now I've just differentiated myself from everybody else out there. And I got a tool like this to do it. So now that you've been able to use it like this, how'd you even get your hands on it?
Man, that is a good, one of your reps reached out to us. Like it was a random call. We had a random, I believe it was like a cold call. That I don't know if you had a campaign that you were doing, but we had never heard of you guys. And we had heard a bunch of other shipping companies that just call and try to offer you shipping rates, weekly rates and that kind of stuff. And I don't know, to this day, like we've asked and we've talked to several of the other team members. I'm like, how did this conversation get started? Like none of us know because there's not an initial, like, I don't know, like it just happened. But I know we tell everybody we know about you. And so it's like in all of our other stores because it's a big tool, But honestly, I'm pretty sure that someone it had to have been like client recruitment or something that reached out to the store and call. It had to have been a call, man. It really did. I don't think because there's no other stores that we knew that were using you in our industry. And we don't pay attention to advertising anyway. Most of that stuff, like if people are trying to market to us or send us and sell us something, but I believe it was just a phone call from the team. And then once they explained it, because my guy Cole was like, hey, this is different than the rest. And I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean it's different? And they're like, no, it's not the same. Like you need to look at this. Like, let's take a look at this. And so we sat down as a team, was like, oh, this is not the same. This is totally different. I like this. And so it was great.
No, it's a challenge on my part. And I have a feeling that we probably got wind of your organization because we partner with, currently over 15 different LTL carriers, national carriers, regionals, asset lights. And oftentimes those sales reps will send invites to their customers, but the invites don't always get accepted. It'll get blended in with marketing emails. But we still follow up on those phone calls and say, hey, it looks like, so-and-so from XYZ carrier invited you to this platform, can I tell you about it? And it sounds like that's where we kind of picked the ball up from where the carrier left off to just kind of introduce the product and, the rest is history.
That had to have been it, man. I'm telling you, that's got to be it.
Ultimately, we're a neutral platform, right? We're just a technology vehicle between us and the LTL industry. Ultimately, I started in the LTL industry. I've been a shipper. I've been on the 3PL side, but my heart, my blood, my sweat, my tears, I'm an LTL kid at heart, right? My dad was an RDO at Motor Cargo. God rest their soul, out of business. But like I grew up, it was kitchen table talk for me. So one of the things that's been missing from LTL is a tool of convenience, because you're either going to the LTL carrier website or you go buy some god awful, rate base, you load it into your ERP, you load it into a TMS you purchase. But at this point, you're $50,000 down the road and you got maintenance and management fees. As we were like, hey, what if we could give the Manatee pressure washers of the world this tool of convenience that they would only otherwise get from going to a 3PL, in which case you got to sacrifice direct relationships, a level of control, and a level of cost management. I think there's a better way to engage and do business and use your efforts, right? Because ultimately, if I'm laboring on websites and all this other stuff, I'm taking away from Manatee pressure washers by doing redundant manual stuff I shouldn't have to
100%. Yeah.
Yep. We're just the technology vehicle that wants to make it easier for, like, you're already doing business with these carriers, but you're missing some of the tools. And you'll probably fill me on this one. it's got to come out of the customer. I don't want them getting mad at me, but these LTL websites aren't very good. No. And while they all produce the same result, it's a different workflow for every single
you're right.
one.
And it's like someone in their 70s if somebody in their 70s probably didn't make it, but someone in their 70s is the one approving the design of it. I can tell you that because of this. It's like you're reading an old website scroll magazine article. Like it's not. Yep. It's my carrier is built almost like a mobile. It's almost like a mobile platform type build where it's just you can't help it. Like, do I click here? Yes. Like even my rep came in and needed he was like, can you print me one of the reports so I can take it back, and look at the things. Yep. And I was like, what are you talking about? I didn't even know. He showed me where the reports were. And so we pulled the reports up and he's like, I'm going to go back and talk about this, with my shipping department person. But turns out they haven't done any shipments with us this year. And he wants to be more aggressive. And it's cool going back to your guys. Another benefit that working with you is that tool is in your, it's right there on my dashboard and I can print it and he can take that back to his team and go, we need to get more rates or we need to get more shipments from these guys. Let's get our rate more competitive. And that has happened to us multiple times where the guys have gone, back and forth, and they want to do business with us. Like we like doing business with certain people and certain reps are better to deal with than others for sure. And I told them like, if you can get it down, lower, I'd love to work with you on this. Like we don't have any problems with it, but their rates are just a little too high right now. And so it was cool because he took that sheet and he emailed it to, his person with their company is with ArcBest, I believe. And I know it was Old Dominion. Sorry. It was with Old Dominion. And he's like, I'm reaching out. He told me, he's like, she's on vacation for another week, but when she gets back, you should see some changes. We're going to do something and put a special price in to see if we can win some of your business. And I'm like, that is great. People are fighting for our business and they want us to utilize them. And we'd like to, it's great. The customer wins. Everybody wins, really.
No, I think you're absolutely right. You hit the nail on the head there. And you kind of mentioned something where the data is a bit of an unsung hero. Yeah. You even mentioned, well, I kind of wasn't even that aware of it, but now you're hyper aware of it. Not only that, but how you can leverage that data for better negotiated pricing.
That's true.
Right? So you've kind of been with this company for a while, and you mentioned, hey, we started with 2 carriers. We've broadened that carrier mix up. But do you remember how you even got LTL pricing, or in the past when you would have to negotiate, or they would say, hey, Jared, I need some data?
Yeah. So before that, before it was miserable, we didn't have any sort of data to give or any sort of data to even get back. We basically just went through the RNL's website and we would we would do a bill of lading and we knew that RNL's rates were pretty good. They were consistent. And honestly, we didn't even know what the rate was going to be. We would charge basically the customer a general charge, and then was like, if it comes back and it kicks back, it's going to be more, then we'll communicate that with you. And this has been, multiple years ago now, but that was a tough part of business. We didn't do freight either, so that's why we didn't want to do freight, was because of how difficult it was. And now, once we have this tool in hand, like we bought a freight scale, and an automatic wrapping system, that wraps up our pallets and stuff, that it continued to give us basically tools, and that made us focus more on our freight side of business. And we've pushed that a lot, and we've had a lot of success from it too. And it shows, but if we didn't have the tool, if we didn't have all of that available at our fingertips, we wouldn't be where we are. That is 100% certain, because I was the one wrapping up those pallets years ago by hand and running around, them with the thing. Now the thing runs around for us, but before I had to run around.
You're getting spoiled, man.
It's so good.
Remember you used to get dizzy, and then if you didn't have your gloves, you'd have the tears in your little fingers right here. From wrapping it up.
I'll post a video about that, and like some of our dealers or some of our suppliers, or like Whisper Wash called, they make surface cleaners, and they're like, hey, where did you guys get that wrap machine? And I was like, oh, we got it on Amazon. It was like $8,000. And he's like, seriously, you just bought it on Amazon? We're like, yeah. He sent us like an email later. He's like, we bought one too. I'm like, good.
Yeah.
Good. So,
that's awesome. Hey, one of the things that I love that our system does is the way it produces the bill of ladings, right? It grabs the pre-pro, barcodes it. Do you guys leverage our labels at all to stick on your freight?
Yeah, I print all the labels. I don't print them on sticker paper. I should do that, but I don't print them on sticker paper. I print the label. I put one label on all 4 sides of our packages, and then we print an extra bill of lading, and we put that on the front of our packages too. So there's markings on every side, with the stick, or basically with the information going to the customer. that has helped a lot, because for some reason we've noticed that packages will get lost because the information gets pushed up against the wall, and then it gets ripped off, and then they're like, oh, well, that pallet sat for 2 weeks for no reason because we didn't know. But when there's the labels all over it, it sure helps. That's for sure.
Yep. And you just hit the nail on the head again with something where I don't think people realize that, like most things in life, it's all the little things that add up to the big differences, right? And something as small as a clear label that a dock worker can visually see, know where it goes, and know that it's, hey, this is 1 of 2, 2 of 2. I need to keep these pallets together. Like, I imagine before, you used to put pro numbers about the size of your pinky on there. Those things can fall off that shrink wrap like there's no tomorrow. To your point, it goes into the OS&D area because a dock worker was busy, just didn't want to investigate, and goes, no labels. This is my easy out, right? And then your poor pallet sits there for 2 weeks till somebody has the time to investigate it. And all the while, your poor customer is like, where's this pressure washer
mad
at?
at us.
This thing's supposed to be... Yeah, this thing's supposed to be better than the Honda. It was cheaper. It was free freight. Now I know why the freight was free. But because you put labels on it, right, this actually helps the carrier out. So one of the hidden gems about this platform that I love is it makes you and your carrier tighter, and it makes it easier to do business together because they're an extension of Manatee until they make delivery of that product. Because I imagine if they screw up, you get the phone call, not them.
We do right away. That's for sure. I mean, we mark all of our freight, and we tell our customers refuse it. If there's any damage on it, because some of the things that we do ship, they're bolted to the pallet. Or they're in a box, and it's like, just refuse it. We don't want them to have to come back and try to pick this up. They'll bring it back to us, and we'll take care of the charge. And it's so much quicker to get it going. But that reminds me of a thought that we haven't even talked about yet. But with Falvey, that third-party insurance, man, that's a game changer. Because before, when we were working with freight companies, we had to rely on their insurance company or try to go to some other random third-party company to insure those packages. Dude, since we brought Falvey, since we brought you guys in, Falvey's been a part of it. I hope that's how you say their name. But since they've been a part of it, there's no issues. Like, anytime I have damages, Marissa, she handles all of our basically our sales in the office, our main customer problems and stuff. As soon as I get a customer issue, like I had a hot box that just got damaged last week, and they didn't even deliver it because the driver knew the girl who he was delivering it to. He was like, he sent her a picture and she sent it to me. I was like, no, bring it back. And Marissa, before it was even on its way back, Marissa had already had the call started with Falvey, and they were already waiting on the process. Like, they're just like, so fast, we'll get the paperwork in. And that helps us send an immediate replacement to the customer, because the customer always is the one that kind of gets screwed in that process, because if it's a damaged piece of equipment, we're like, sorry, you just have to wait, dude, until we get another piece out there. And this piece of equipment was $9,000. So it wasn't like it was just a $300 piece of equipment. I'm like, you can't just buy another one and just, I'll refund you your money later. That's not how it works. And as a business, we can't just toss another one out the door and hope it makes it there too, So it's really nice to be able to start that conversation. And they're fantastic to work with, because that third party aspect, it's almost like they're just them being separated from the two of us. There's no fight. Like, they can't be mad. I can't be mad, because Falvey's like, no, we got it. Don't worry. We'll take care of the stuff between, like, perfect.
No, and I love that, because I'm sure you dealt with claims prior to having full value insurance on something, and it's not a pretty process.
Just say goodbye.
First of all, you're not getting paid out full value. You're not getting paid in 7 to 10 days, and ultimately, it's messing with your cash flow, messing with your end customer. And it's just a bad experience for everybody. Then you got to set calendar reminders. You got to follow up on the claim. It's not like they're going, "Hey, Jared, I'm ready to give you your money." Like, no,
you got to chase them.
So no, I totally get that. I'm glad you said that. All right, we're close to ending this thing. I want to kind of end it on this. Prior to having my carrier, I would have met, and I've been a shipper too several times. I've visited a ton of them. Everybody likes to tell me they track their freight, but nobody actually did it until the customer called and asked where it was. How has that kind of shipping calendar, or just the ability to use our shipments management page, maybe made you guys more proactive instead of reactive to situations like that?
Well, I know a lot of my customers will see this video in the post, and they don't check their emails. So check your emails, boys. And so they'll call the shop, and they're like, "Hey, I didn't get an email, or I didn't get tracking on this." And we're like, "We sent the email. It's on the tracking's in there." They're like, "Well, I don't see it." So instead of us like, "Oh, we'll send it out," again, back and forth, we just go right into the system there and pull it right up. It's readily available. The calendar is nice because, man, you can see everything. Like, once you see how active that calendar is, and if you've got 100 shipments going out in a month, you can really see how much movement you're doing, or how much traction you're making. It's huge to see all that color on there, because there's equipment going out to places. People are getting stuff that they need, and it's cool to be a part of it. But it's a nice tool basically, because we're in control. Like, it feels like we're in control of it, or we're on top of the game, even though we're not in more control than we were before, technically, but now we know what's going on. But the tracking updates
it's visibility,
and the tracking updates are good. Like, they're not delayed. They're real-time tracking updates, and everything. I enjoy sending. What I like the most, I think, about the software is that once we hit print on the bill of lading, I send a tracking email to the customer, and it's just a toggle button, man. I just click it. The customer's email's already in there, and it just sends that tracking right to them. I don't even have to deal with it. I send them an invoice later. I send them, their receipt, and the tracking's in there. But I don't have to worry about copying and pasting the numbers back and forth. They've got it.
Well, your customers probably don't look at the tracking emails because they're like, LTL doesn't send out tracking updates automatically. This is weird. I didn't even know I should be watching out for this, because it's not atypical in this industry, right? And one of the things we did with our platform was give you guys the ability to automate those. So you're like, hey, if there's an email in here at time of dispatch, send this sucker out the door. Just like if I ordered anything online, one of my favorite parts is I get a convenient email that says they got my order, and usually they say, hey, this is shipping today with XYZ. Here's your tracking number, right? They're producing that, and it makes me feel good because they already took my money and they told me they're doing their job. So I love that.
You didn't just give it away for nothing, right?
Yeah. Well, I talk to companies where they're like, no, we make customer service do that. And I'm like, you mean 4 hours after you've processed their order? And I'm like, no, automate that,
Automation is a beautiful thing, man. People like that. They really do, because they feel like they're being treated special, which they are, because we created an automatic system to treat them special, but it's a real big part of business where a lot of other people don't do anything. We even send a thank you for the order. It's like, hey, thanks for buying your stuff from us. We appreciate that. Like, that goes a long way with a lot of people. They're usually like, they don't care what I buy from me. I'm like, we care. We do care what you buy.
I love it. All right, we're gonna wrap this up, Jared, but send us off with a piece of advice for other shippers out there. Your problems weren't mutually exclusive to you, so go ahead and send us off with a tip for all the other shippers out there.
All right, the best tip that I can give is that if you're a company looking to grow and to start shipping more, and that process seems overwhelming to you, it is overwhelming. Don't let anybody lie to you and tell you that it's easy, because it's not. Shipping and doing like nationwide freight is a big monster. It's a big piece of the business to take on and to constantly have to babysit and maintain. If you've got the right system in place, or if you've got the right team in place, you can make it happen. And for us, we went from just shipping 1 to 2 parcels a week to a month to literally 5 to 7 almost every single day. And that's large amounts of equipment, large amounts of influence, and large amounts of reach. Like, our business went from just being a single state servicing only Florida to now I send a lot of equipment to Oregon and across the entire nation. And it's really cool to be a part of that. And if you think your business is too small and you can't do it, that's the lie that you don't need to listen to, because the reality is, 3 years ago, we would have never thought we were sitting where we are today. And today we can't believe we're sitting here, even still. It's an honor to be where we are. And so My Carriers has been a big part of that puzzle. Just start doing it. Don't wait. Just do it. It's time. The time's now. And it's a good time to do it, for sure.
All right. Well, Jared, thank you very much. We can go ahead and sign off and end this thing. You've been terrific. All right, dude. Well, I'll let you get back to it. Next time in Florida, we're getting some food or some beers or something, man.
Let's do it, buddy. All right, man. I'll see you soon, okay?
All right.